puzzle in Assassin's Creed 2 because we wanted them, or we wanted player to think a bit. Not only is it an action game, that's fun. You know, we have the action. Sometimes I take a like, oh, I need to, you know, I need to think to get to the next point of the game, for the next step. So we put some puzzle a lot more in the climbing of go to the viewpoint. There's some towers that are like, oh, really? Okay, I don't know how to get there like that. And we put some puzzle, some 2D puzzle hidden also here and there. We did the secret location where suddenly the puzzle is really like a Prince of Persia like puzzle, and it's just to change the pace. This is something like I was talking earlier about the structure, but not only do we have a problem with the structure in the first game, but we actually never change the pace. So when you're like fighting a lot, running a lot, then suddenly you're in a puzzle element. It's like, oh, I'm not doing the same thing. So in your brain, really something else happened, and then you're happy to go back afterwards in the fighting or the climbing. So you change pace here and there, and then you feel like there's something different. You just have to go there and realize that you just have to make the city as they are to make them different, just like Jerusalem and Acre or Damascus were in the first game, even though they weren't that different in the gameplay. So if you go in Florence here, you see it's more flat at first. The building is a bit higher, and all the rooftops are a bit like longer, so it creates on the rooftop a different vibration, I would say. Then you go to Venice, then suddenly 1/3 of the streets are canals, so it's all about water. And then we have also a city in Tuscany called San Gimignano, where they have a lot of towers. In fact, back at the time there was 25 towers like that, and it creates the Manhattan feeling. So where we played with this verticality of gameplay instead of being more underground. So each city will really have a different feel, and not only visual but also in the gameplay this time around. We created the secret locations that while we were developing it, we call LGS, for linear gameplay sequences, to change the pace, to sometimes go inside buildings, to teach the player to be good at a specific free running or climbing element, to show the players the depth of the main character. Because if you're in a linear sequence, linear map, then we can bottleneck some sections saying, here, do this particular move to move on. And if you do, well, you'll learn the move, and then you can reuse that move in the city. So it's a great teaching tool, a great way to change the pace again. Oh, there's so many different things we can do with the crowd in the future. It's true that we can have a roughly 120 characters at the same time. What we did from the first one was more about having those 120 NPCs being obstacles in your escape or approach. This time we wanted it to be more like a tool you can actually use. So I asked the team to divide the crowd not only in individuals but in groups. So now you can see the groups of enemies, you can see a group of people walking, a group of people talking, and you could analyze the crowd a little bit more easily. And each time you see a group like that, well, except if there are enemies, you can blend in. So then it becomes this, light and shadow gameplay, but inside a crowd. Even though there's still obstacles, if you try to sprint in the middle of a crowd, you'll end up on the ground. So and where we could go with it, it's only the beginning. I feel again, it's like all about learning those little, like we're not doing a shooter, and I have nothing against shooter, but we're not doing it. So we have to learn each time by doing small steps, because we still want people to play our game at the end of the year. So we need sometimes, okay, this is where we are this time. We did it with the first one. We took another 20 months, and now we come back with the second one. It's better, and we're learning how to do a crowd and how to play with crowd. It's something you don't do in other games, or you don't do that much. We created also some people you can buy in a crowd, and then suddenly you're not alone anymore. You can play with them, you can ask like mercenaries, you can play with thieves or courtesans, and you'll be walking around in this crowd being Ezio with people around and see how it reacts. And you can use those people that you bought to distract some guards and do some part of the action for you.